YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and I am still practicing for the tournament. Boy, I've got a lot of practice to go if I want to be able to get competitive, and I will do it. So I've got to be playing a lot of battles. Well, I've got Morathi here in the Dark Elves because that was what the random faction picker I'm using picked. So Dark Elves it is. In my past experience, I seem to like using Morathi with the Dark Elves, so I've chosen her astride her Dark Pegasus. And let me introduce you to her army. I've got 4 Bleak Swords here in the center, 3 Dark Shards in a second line, 3 Cold One Knights, 2 Dread Spears on either flank, and although I unfortunately forget about them because I'm Heir and that's what I do have 2 Dark Riders over here, meant for some sneaky action. My opponent, and I'll tell you, an interesting army here from Bretonnia, not what I would have expected. There is no spellcaster, and he has picked Alberic of Bordelot. Alberic de Bordelot, sorry, my bad. Anyway, he's got himself a field trebuchet, and Alberic's on a horse, and I did not know that he had an anti-large bonus. Has that always been there, or did he pick that up recently? He's got a Pegasus Knight. He has 2 Foot Squires for a little bit of armor piercing and slightly armored infantry, 2 Peasant Bows for some skirmishing. He has 4 Knights. 2 are Knights Errant, 1 is a Questing Knight, and then this other over here on the far flank is a Knight of the Realm, so a little bit of anti-large capability. His main line is Battle Pilgrims. They've got a couple chevrons each, so they'll be dealing pretty solid weapon strength and melee attack because of their Frenzy ability. He's got 1 Paladin here in the center as well. The terrain on this map is very broken terrain. So let's see how the battle turns out. I'm going to have to approach my opponent because he is the one wielding all of the range right now. So I'll go into Bleak Sword cam here and get you all some sweet cinematics. So while this is going on, my intention with this army was to have relatively cheap infantry because I don't expect Bretonnia to bring infantry that's going to be particularly powerful. Could he bring Foot Squires? Yes, but if he brings a lot of them, then that means he's not going to have a lot of cavalry potentially. I was potentially worried about flying goon squads. That is one of the reasons why I brought the Dark Shards with shields. I needed to be able to help Morathi if she got stuck alone in the air, because he could just zerg my lord with a goon squad, and Dark Shards may not even be enough to stop that, to be honest. So I'm glad that he didn't bring the goon squad. I also had to be able to react to a lot of cavalry. That's why I've got the Cold One Knights there in the background. Oh man, this game's beautiful. Look at that. The shrine for the Sword of Cain up in the background. Once I get close enough, I'm going to use my Dark Shards to potentially do a little bit of skirmishing, and I'll pull Morathi forward as well. But yeah, Morathi debuffs very well. She's pretty decent at anti-large, which can kind of catch enemy lords by surprise sometimes. Because of her anti-large bonus and the, like, basically minus 18 to a melee attack for anybody around her, a lot of lords can get caught off guard, and a lot of monsters can get caught off guard by Morathi. It's her Heartrender and Dark Sword that does minus 9 defense and attack, and minus 9 defense is a big deal. And then this Enchanting Beauty, another 9 attack and charge bonus loss. So Morathi significantly debuffs all the units around her. My opponent did a quick charge as Pegasus Knights and then thought better of it. My left flank here, I'm pushing up. He's doing a lot of damage with his trebuchet because he has a lot of time to fire, but he's targeting the wrong unit. He's targeting Dread Spears. He should be targeting my Dark Shards with shields, and initially my Dark Shards with shields should probably target his archers, but I wanted to do some damage to his Foot Squires because this is a key infantry unit for him. I wanted to try and get as much damage in on that as I could, but realizing that that's not going to be a good idea for me right now, I'm going to push forward even more of my infantry here in the middle to give some cover to my skirmishers. My opponent's only got 2 Peasant Bows. I'm going to go ahead and take care of him, and you can see here he's doubled over his Peasant Bows into his Battle Pilgrims. Whenever you double units up like this, it makes you quite vulnerable. So now my Dark Shards are going to be doing double damage, and when I saw that, I'm going to drop a Pit of Shades here, because again, why not take advantage of the double damage? Get a 2-for-1 special. Pit of Shades, quite effective on any infantry that gets doubled up like that. You can see that his Peasant Bows are dropping. His Battle Pilgrims took significant damage. One of his Peasant Bows is now routed, and I can redirect my Dark Shards. And you see how I'm trying to keep my Dark Shards not bunched up on each other. I did get a little overlapped right there, so need to keep an eye on it. But I am far from perfect in managing my troops, but that's why you want to come play these battles. and then do your best to put some analysis down on it. Always be willing to look at the mistakes you made and think about what you need to do better. For me, I think one of the biggest things, keeping a passive eye on the minimap, keeping an eye on my unit cards to see who's engaged, who's not engaged, am I forgetting units, should I be using those units, and in general, just acting in accordance with the way you need to for your army to succeed. So, easy to say, different thing to do, but I'm going to do my best to get ready for that. Anyway, this is going to force my opponent to come charging down the hill. I'm going to get as much damage in as I can with my Dark Shards, and you'll watch the lines clash here. Bleak Swords clashing with Battle Pilgrims. I'm going to bring Morathi in and start attacking some of his infantry in the middle. I want to debuff his infantry here in the middle and see if we can maybe cause a breakthrough. Alberic is there, and his Paladin is nearby as well. As cavalry starts to move to the flanks, over here I'm going to use some spears to slow them down, and the same thing on this flank. I'm using my Dread Spears to screen his foot squires. He likes this engagement. It will be a good one for him. But for me, the Dread Spears are kind of just a holding force for now. Now, Alberic attacks me again. I had not noticed his bonus versus large, and this is also a perfect time. I'm gonna hit a slow motion real quick so we don't miss anything here. This is a perfect time for me to be taking this unit again, paying attention to the unit cards there. Paying attention to the unit cards. Swing through here. Easy shot to the trebuchet, and to pick off any units that are routing. So, big mistake with my Dark Riders. Gotta keep an eye on those unit cards. I do manage to intercept his questing knights and put them in a fight that they don't want to be in. Alberic, meanwhile, is getting hit with Soul Stealer, though he has Heroic Killing Blow, which is not going to be great for me. Miss Morathi is pretty squishy. If she debuffs an enemy enough, she can do a lot of damage, but you can see there's still 39 attack and 31 defense left on Alberic, so he's still going to be very tough if he hits me. So let's go ahead and watch what happens. Morathi starts to take quite a bit of damage here. So I use Soul Stealer. Alberic now takes a lot of damage. I've got a Soul Blight in here too. But yeah, Morathi is definitely taking the worst of this right now. And then I'm able to swing in here. She's got these Knights Errant that charged in, and I can't get her out of combat. She's stuck right now. So not a great situation for me. So Morathi is going to get routed there as I cannot get her up and out of combat, and now his Knights Errant are going to charge into my Dark Shards. So a lot of not so great things happening for me. However, the good thing, most of my Cold One Knights are doing well. These cavalry were chased off, and he's now forgotten about them, so he's at least fortunately making the same mistake I am elsewhere. So yeah, I'll take what I can get here. I'm able to clear out some stuff on the right flank here. I've got some Dread Spears free, and over here his Questing Knights are getting caught and mopped up by my Cold One Knights. And then same thing here, his Knights Errants are being chased out. So for now at least, my Dark Shards are alive, though they're continuing to be pressured. The Pegasus Knights dropped down. I was able to chase them out and get them back up in the air by using a Cold One Knight. Morathi regrouped, but now she's got a Pegasus Knight threatening her. Alberic is a little bit weak. My opponent has regained control of both of his archers after initially routing, and he's still got some Battle Pilgrims. You can see he's a little slow to get Alberic into combat here. His Paladin does push forward and causes some damage. I'm running away at this point from his Pegasus Knights. It's quite a desperate situation. I realize that I have to get my Dark Shards free, so I'm going to charge in this Cold One Knight. This is a pretty good unit to be in this fight. Alberic's not going to like fighting this. The Paladin won't be able to pull through it. And I start to try and pull my Dark Shards back into a position to give covering fire to Morathi, who's desperately trying to escape this fight with the Pegasus Knights. And I finally get a couple of crossbows into position. One is routing, and I'm able to give her the support cover that she needs here so badly. I'm able to get off one more Soul Stealer, which will help Morathi get a little bit of hit points back and hopefully survive this. She's debuffing the Pegasus Knights. Their melee defense is down, their attack is down. And despite their efforts, they're going to take a lot of damage from my crossbows, who have a great firing position. So I'm able to save Morathi, if only just. You can see here that Alberic dropped in the fight with my Cold One Knights, and my opponent lost his Lord, and then started losing so much other stuff that the battle swung back into my favor, even though it kind of seemed like it could potentially swing against me. So, in the end, definitely not the best control of my army. And could have done a little better, but things were able to work out. I had the right combination of units to deal with what my opponent brought. However, I think my opponent did a few things here, and I'm not saying this to be mean to him, I just think he did a few things that made things a little more possible for me here, one of which was he doesn't have a spellcaster. If he would have had a spellcaster, it could have made it more difficult for me in a couple of situations, like for instance, drop a Knights Errant, and bring in a cheap Damsel Lore of Life with some healing, and this battle may have turned against me, due to a couple of units just being able to be healed and stayed in the fight longer. Magic is a big deal, and it's a big deal when you choose not to bring it. You have to have a specific plan, and your opponent could potentially gain an advantage on you. Is it possible to win without magic? Yes. Yeah, sure it is. But, again, you better have a plan, and you better make sure that you don't end up regretting it. You get all those magic points regardless of whether you bring a caster, and if you don't bring a caster to take advantage of it, again, you're kind of handing an advantage towards your opponent. In the end, he was able to bring a bigger army, which did challenge me in some ways, but I mean, his battle pilgrims didn't trade for any more kills than my bleak swords really did, and then having all the extra dread spears helped me screen off some of his key infantry, and cavalry, keeping his cavalry from being effective on my dark shards, which in effect kept Marathi alive. Yes, so it ended up working out for me, and then the dread spears, again, taking some pressure, making my Cold One Knights be pretty effective here. This one only got 30 kills, but managed to pick up a chevron, so they obviously did some key damage, probably to Alberic would be my guess, in that final fight, possibly the Paladin as well. So it ended up working out for me in this case. A couple things I need to improve. Just keep an eye on my battle map, and keep an eye on my unit cards. Need to get good at just taking a passive glance at those, being aware of how the information's being fed to me, and reacting quicker on it. So that's what I'm going to be working on as I go through a couple more battles. Hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll be back because I got more practice to do, and hopefully you all enjoy these. I want you to kind of see my road to the tournament, and then of course I will film my appearance in the tournament. I will see you next time.